History in the 2015 wildcard game against Pittsburgh, a shoulder-to-head hit on Antonio Brown. He was suspended 3 games for violations of rules regarding player safety. Then in the preseason in 2017 against Kansas City, his hit on Anthony Sherman resulted in a 5-game suspension, ultimately reduced to 3. That was for repeated violations of player safety rules. And then he was suspended for the rest of the season last year after his helmet-to-helmet hit on Jack Doyle. Ultimately, he missed the final 12 games. That suspension is the longest in NFL history for an on-field infraction. He has been reinstated, and his agent, Peter Schaefer, told the NFL Network, quote, Vontaze has spent the entire offseason studying and learning the proper code of conduct for participation in the NFL. He has watched tape, talked with coaches and NFL experts, doing everything he can to conform his passionate play to the rules of the NFL. This is a serious issue, not only for Vontaze, but all players, and he is serious about doing things the right way and being a leader in playing football the right way. So with that thought in mind, I want to go back to the Combine where Louis Riddick rejoins us. He was here earlier this morning. Louis, you hear, you see the history with Perfect, which you obviously know well. You hear from the agent. What is your perspective on what he said?
Look, I think this is probably what the commissioner needed to hear as far as Vontaze and his representatives showing the appropriate level of contrition and concern and attention to what is a serious issue for the league right now, which is player safety. I mean, obviously, he's going to need to say these types of things in order to get back in the good graces of the people who decide whether or not you're going to be on the football field. Because, look, at this point in his career, if Vontaze needs to read the rules book and, and consult with other players and other experts about how to play the game safely, I mean, come on, let's be serious. You don't need to read a rule book in order to figure out that you can't lower your head and just knock the crap out of people and have no regard for their health or yours and play the game in a reckless manner, the manner in which, look, I get at one time it used to be played that way. I played during an era where everything was legal, where you could absolutely just tee off on anyone at any time in any manner you saw fit. But it's not like that anymore. And to sit here and say that you had to read a rules book in order to really kind of show that you're serious about trying to change the way you're playing, I mean, I think we could all read between the lines there. But the fact of the matter is this. He's been reinstated. Now he needs to find a home in a place where he can, be utilized. And I will say this, though, about Vontaze in support of him. When I went out there this past summer before we were getting ready to, broadcast the Denver Bronco-Oakland Raider game on Monday Night Football on opening weekend, every player to a man out there in Oakland said that they loved Vontaze, that he was a good leader, that he was extremely smart, and he was someone who they were counting on to be the focal point of that defense. And it hurt Oakland bad when he got suspended and he wasn't able to play anymore. So I'm hoping that he can go ahead and play the game the way it is being legislated and refereed now, and he can go ahead and finish off his career the right way.
That's really well said. Louis, thank you so much for jumping in here today, and we look forward to your coverage of the Combine as the week goes on, and we'll check back with you tomorrow. As he was talking there, you were nodding your head vigorously there, Acho, as you obviously agree.
Yeah, Louis hit the nail on the head. You're an adult. You don't have to read a handbook as if you were a child to understand the rules and the legislations around playing in the NFL. It's not the ancient days of old. It's not the old 1950s and leather helmets where your goal is to go out there and try to literally maim people. You want to play a physical game. Vontaze Burfict, he crosses the line. 11 incidents, Greeny, fined $469,000 over the course of his career. There's a theme, there's a through line of an issue.
Torrey Smith, you played in his division. Again, when you guys got set to play against them, were you worried that he was going to hit you dirty?
No, I wasn't worried, but it was something that you definitely kept your eye on. And then he's an adult.
Sounds like you were worried, Torrey.
He knows right from wrong.
You got
your scouting report. You see his name at the top, and there's a little tip box, a little reminder, just to be aware. But again, he's a very talented
Be a reminder of what? Be aware of what?
Like a caution sign.
So why wouldn't, I guess someone might ask, why wouldn't you be worried about that? You're a the definition of it is you're a defenseless player, and he's not allowed to hit you in the head, and he repeatedly does. It would not make you less tough to be concerned about that.
Right. No, I mean, you can't play this game afraid. Like, anyone can clock you at any position at any given time. So for him, it's just something that, pops up from time to time. And you look at the list, he's been caught for a lot. But even the one last year, that was his only opportunity he had last year, and he played a few games. So.
Right. Greeny, his career is in the balance. I just texted with an NFL exec. He says he highly doubts he returns because he's an older 2-down linebacker in a speed game with off-field issues. Who wants that headache? And so if anybody does, the most logical fit is the Raiders, and returning there on a one-year deal with minimal guarantees. He can reunite with Paul Gunther. He's played with him with 2 teams, but most teams are moving on to the speedy linebacker you see today. He's just a throwback.
And look, the teams also know, you heard Lewis say they were counting on him to be a leader for them last year. If you know that he's one questionable play away from being suspended, then you can't count on that either. So look, we'll see. I'm in no way trying to take away a man's ability to make a living, but you know, at some point you run out of chances. Okay, lots of basketball to talk about this morning. Laura, let's run the floor.
Yeah, busy night in the NBA, Greeny, and we've got Perk and Sean Farnham here. So Joel Embiid with a career-high 49 points and a win over the Hawks. Perk, is Embiid better off playing without Ben Simmons, who of course is out with that injury?
Well, this has been an ongoing conversation, and they're better off playing without each other, but apparently they're stuck with each other, so they need Ben Simmons in order to reach a goal and go to the finals or whatever they're trying to accomplish. They need each other, so no, they're not better off with each other right now. Maybe in the future, but not right now.
Yeah, and Perk said earlier on the show he's not buying the 76ers. Okay, Farnham, Bradley Beal became the first player since Kobe Bryant in 2007 to score 50 points on consecutive nights. How much credit do you give Beal for his efforts on a seemingly hopeless team?
Look, I mean, he's out there doing what he has to do. The team, they're just not very good. And you look at going for 53 and 55 and back-to-back nights going career high in consecutive days. That's just an impressive output for him. But unfortunately, he's in a situation where we're going to be talking about him getting those points, but not showing him in the highlights because his team is losing.
No Russell Westbrook, no problem for the Rockets, and an easy home win over the Knicks. Could have had something to do with it being the Knicks. But Kendrick, how have they been able to make the small ball work?
Are you kidding me? They have 2 former MVPs in their prime, and I'm going to say it again, 2 former MVPs that are still in their prime. When you talk about Russell Westbrook and James Harden, arguably the best dynamic backcourt we've seen in NBA history.
Okay, Clippers get back on track, Sean, with a blowout win over the Grizzlies. You like the Clippers a lot. What do you make of where they're at right now?
Well, where they're at right now is they were a full unit. Pat Beverly came back last night. Paul George came back, and what you saw was a concerted effort at the defensive end of the floor against the Grizzlies, and they stifled them. They held them just 14 points in the first quarter while ripping off 40 at their offensive end. When they're dialed in and they want to go after it, and you look at the depth that this team has, that's the reason why I believe that they still could win the NBA championship when it's all said and done.
Kawhi had 25 points and 8 rebounds. This week, our NBA Wednesday doubleheader tips off, in Houston with James Harden and Russell Westbrook and the Rockets hosting Ja Morant and the Grizzlies at 8 Eastern. It'd be fun if they were kicking off, though. Then the Celtics wrap up their 4-game road trip in Salt Lake City against Donovan Mitchell and the Jazz. Our coverage begins with Stephen A's pregame Sports Center at 7 on ESPN and the app. Get up. We'll be right back.